Anyway, happy August, everyone. First of the month, just a month to go in the transfer window. It's been a busy window for a lot of clubs so far in the Premier League. Not so busy for others, by the way. £1.5 billion spent already. One of the bigger names who could be on the move, not happened yet, is Eberechi Eze from Palace, of course. Here's talkSPORT's transfer correspondent Ben Jacobs on Eze's latest, including his release clause, which is about to expire.
Yeah, I think it's technically Friday evening, so 11:59 you can trigger it, and midnight heading into Saturday, the release clause expires, because that takes you 2 weeks before the beginning of the Premier League season. I know in this modern age you've got Friday games and so on, but when it was written, I think it was basically to do with the Saturday and the weekend, 2 weeks before the Premier League season. So about 24 hours if somebody wants to trigger it. My expectation is it won't make much difference. The clause is 60 million up front, 8 million in add-ons. Arsenal have already communicated to Crystal Palace that they don't want to trigger it now. They might need an outgoing first before they formalise their interest in Eze. But the expectation is still they'll bid at some point between now and the end of the window, and lower than this soon-to-be expiring release clause. And as a consequence, it will fall on Crystal Palace, because once the clause is gone, they can shut the door. They can demand that the previous active clause is matched, or maybe they can entertain a lower amount. And I think Arsenal are looking at Anthony Elanga, who moved, of course, to Newcastle from Nottingham Forest. And because Eze's only got 2 years left on his deal, they think 55 million might be competitive if Crystal Palace choose to sell.
Ben Jacobs, though, the latest on Eberechi Eze. Interesting. So Arsenal really just sitting and waiting for the buyout clause to expire.
I think as well, maybe they're looking at it, who can they sell, Jeff?
Yeah.
What money can they bring in before they go and pay 55 million? They've already spent 200 million this transfer window, so maybe PSR reasons they can't afford to pay another 55 plus add-ons, wages.
You think, wouldn't you? It's going to be one of the left-sided players. If they're selling,
Yes.
they're selling either Gabriel Martinelli or Leandro Trossard.
Which one do you reckon?
In my view, Trossard's 30. So my view would be it would be Trossard. I think he's a good player. I think he's a really, really good player. He can be a match changer, but then you'd ask yourself, is Eze an upgrade on Trossard?
Yes.
Definitely, isn't he?
Yeah, when I watch him, Jeff, there's not many players now where you watch and say, still a flair player. The way he controls that ball on the turn, so casual, his goal scoring's got better now. I think he's an outstanding player. But if on Crystal Palace, I do not sell, because I worry for them without Eze.
Yeah.
I do like Sarr. I think he's done very well last season. Obviously, Mateta, great player, but Eze's their main man. Going into European football next season as well, you want to keep on to Eze. After losing Elise last season,
Yeah.
I will do everything to keep Eze.
And it looks like they might lose, almost certainly will lose Mark Gahey as well before the transfer window's done. So, but from the player's point of view, there was a lot of speculation, wasn't it, 12 months ago, that he, like Elise, would be on the move. And when he seen, his mate's gone off to Bayern Munich and done brilliantly, you'd imagine that would just increase his desire to move on as well.
I think as well, Thomas Tuchel loves him. I think he scored in the recent England game. And it's when you're looking at other players, Jeff, especially when you go away with England and you're looking at these players playing in the Champions League. You know what I mean? Liverpool, Man City players that won the Champions League. And your career is very short. He's not 21, 22.
No.
He's at an age now where he needs to go and win big trophies. So if you're Eze, go and maybe triple your money, and go and play in the big competitions.
Spurs won in Hong Kong. What a goal it was, by the way. He's never going to score another goal like that again.
I know. It was a foul, though, wasn't it, if you look at it closely?
Yeah, but look, just the same, he scored from 45 yards or whatever. But as a player, you wouldn't have ever read anything into pre-season games, would you?
Do you know what, Jeff? I said this last night, is you look into the last game before the Premier League starts. So we always played that Saturday before the Premier League started at the same time. Remember, we played Inter Milan, we played Fiorentina. You know, the big game at Villa Park. And normally that game is where you're starting to look and think, okay, how's the team doing? What's the team that he's picking? Because that normally was the team that started the week afterwards.
Yeah.
unless you got beat 5-0 and then everyone's on the bench. But these games now, it's still 2 weeks to go. It's more about fitness. Everyone's at a different stage. Sometimes the players have done 2 hours of running 5 hours before that game that people don't know about. So I would look into results and performances.
Yeah. Unless you're a Spurs fan, of course, and you're going to take all the positives out of going and
North London's white.
Winning the North London derby in Hong Kong. And Yao Paulinho sounds like he might be on his way back, on his way to Tottenham, back to the Premier League. You surprised it hasn't really worked out for him at Bayern?
Very surprised. Very, very surprised. Because when we watched him at Fulham, outstanding player, number 6, can get forward, can get goals. He can score goals from distance as well. When you look at Portugal as well, he doesn't play for them. And I know it's hard at Portugal, the amount of players they've got in that position, centre midfield. But for Spurs, I think it's a great signing, Jeff. I really do. Højbjerg left, I think, for like 10 to 12 million. You look at Bentancur, Basuma, especially Basuma. Is he at the level that maybe Thomas Frank wants? I'm not sure. I think he walks straight into that side as that number 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a sort of problem position, or has been a problem position for Spurs. I don't think people thought they would miss Højbjerg as much as they have. In actual fact,
100%.
Yeah.
When he was at it, he was a pest, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah.
He was strong. He was aggressive. He could play. He was everywhere, up and down the pitch. But I'm sure Spurs fans will wake up this morning because there were a lot of moaning over the last week about players not coming in and missing out on Gibbs White, which is an interesting story that I was speaking about a lot, Jeff.
Yeah.
How is that Spurs' fault?
Yeah, no, it's not
What can you
Spurs'
do?
fault. Of course it's not. In the end, I don't think it is. I mean, they've made an approach, haven't they? And in the end, the players decided to sign a new deal with Nottingham Forest. Not much more
Nothing
you can do about
no.
that. I worry about Spurs a bit, though, still. I mean, I like Thomas Frank a lot. It's a great result yesterday. They brought in Kudus, but the squad's still thin.
Oh, of
the
course
squad is still too thin.
Who's your second left back?
Yeah.
Udogi's got an injury again.
Yeah.
Who's your fourth centre half? You got Romero. You got Van der Ven, both injury prone.
Yeah.
Danso's okay.
In terms of left back, Jed Spence can go over and play. But even so, it just is an illustration of just how thin the squad is.
Solanke, who's your cover for Solanke? Or who can push him?
Yeah.
The Champions League now, Jeff. Do you need someone a bit better than Solanke?
And that's a big issue as well, is that it's Champions League. The demands of the Champions League massively different than the demands of the Europa League.
100%. And if you're playing two days a week, especially if you're playing Champions League on a Wednesday, Premier League on a Saturday, you're going to need 2 top strikers. Look at Aston Villa last season. They had to go and get Rashford on loan after losing out, selling Duran to Saudi Arabia. You need 2.
Yeah. You worried for Villa?
I am. If the transfer window ended today, I am quite worried. But I'm sure they've got a plan, Jeff. They've got some sellable assets that I've written down that hopefully maybe our friends in Saudi Arabia can do us a favour and pay 50 million per player to raise some funds. But no, Aston Villa, I'm sure in the next month will get their business done.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.